Hey, what's up guys? Tim here from Studio, and today I've got a very exciting project for you that I've been planning to do for a long time. I finally had the courage to do it, and it was to engrave art onto the back of my iPad Pro. This is kind of what it looks like. I'll show you a better photo later of how it came out. For this particular video, I'll just walk you through all of the different tools that I used and all of the different apps and software that I used in order to create this engraving. Starting off with the very beginning, I like to use an Apple Pencil. I also like an app called Mandalas. It's something that I found earlier today when I decided to get into it. And it's one that is very minimal in its interface and design. You also need an iPad Pro or an iPad in general. You can probably do this with any other Apple product or any aluminum product in general. The last thing I use is a laser cutter. It's something that not everybody has, so if you don't have one and you really want to get into this, I would highly recommend you find someone who knows how to use one and you get comfortable using it before you jump into any kind of project like this. You really don't want to get into this without having done it before, because you don't want to laser cut anything like the camera or the functions on the perimeter and the edges of the iPad Pro. You really want to make sure that you know what you're doing before you jump into an expensive project like this. I use the Glowforge, and it's one that I love because the interface actually lets me drag the art that I'm putting onto a camera view of the material or the product in the laser cutter's bed. So I get to organize everything and make sure that it's fitting the way that I want. I will say though that I was a little afraid at the end of this project when I was engraving it, because I got very close to nicking the top corner of the camera lens. Luckily I didn't. It literally was probably a millimeter away at most. So I'll show you exactly how it came out, and I'll show you the process in a time lapse. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and follow me for more. So I'll show you a sped up process of how I drew the mandala pattern that I'll be using to etch onto the back of my iPad Pro. And then at the end of everything, I'll show you the next step, which is laying everything out in Adobe Illustrator and getting it to a point where we can feel confident about putting it into our laser cutter and aligning it with the iPad Pro. All right, now that we have the mandala art drawn and everything is ready to be laser etched into the back of the iPad Pro, The next step here is to go to Apple's website and find a reference guide for designers. Apple provides a document with all of the different sizes of their products and all of the different nuances of the product, including things like anything that a designer would need to know: the sizes, where the cameras are located, how big the cameras are, the internal sizes of chips and things like that. They don't give all of that information since it's proprietary, but they'll give you enough so that you can work with their products and create accessories for them. It's something that I discovered through this process. I didn't actually think Apple provided all of this information, but it's really cool that they do. So I went in there and I scrolled through their document and I found the iPad Pro 9.7 inch with the Wi-Fi option, which is the iPad that I have. Depending on what iPad you have, you would want to do the same thing, but you'd have to go into the options and essentially find the size and the year or the generation of your particular iPad. That way you have all of the different features on the back of the iPad, and you can make sure that you're not going to be cutting the camera or engraving onto the camera or anything like that. So once you find your particular iPad model, you want to extract that sheet and save it as a separate file as a PDF, and then open that PDF in Illustrator so that you could have all the different line work. To do this, you have to undo all of the clipping masks that are on there. And if you've never used Illustrator before, I highly recommend you just take a few courses before you jump into it. Once you get rid of all of the clipping masks, you should be able to delete everything else around the back side of the iPad Pro. This isn't really a tutorial, so I just wanted to tell you how I do it, and this is just a quick overview. I'm actually going to overlay my artwork, and the next thing is I'm going to have these clipping layers. So you can see the black lines are where my art will end, and it's the areas that I won't be etching. So I won't engrave anywhere near that Apple symbol. I can actually make the circle smaller or larger, but I've already selected this as the size. The other thing is the camera. So you can see I've created this oval outline around the camera so that I don't engrave onto it. And then I've avoided all of the exterior features around the iPad by trimming down the size of the art. Now, this is also where the iPad starts to curve towards the screen, so that shouldn't be a problem there. So once you have all of that set up, the next thing that I do is I take this particular outline, I take the mandala, and I clip both of them together. So first, I take all of this and I turn it into a compound mask, and then from there, I turn this mandala artwork on. I select all of it, I right click, and I just make it a clipping mask. So the next step from here is to set up the Glowforge interface with the file, the different settings, and I'm probably going to do a really quick test somewhere discreet so that I don't mess up the back of the iPad. And once I'm happy and satisfied with the actual outcome of that engraving, then I'll go in and I'll engrave the entire thing. So let's move on to that and I'll show you the exciting part. All right, guys, there you have it. That was how I designed a mandala for my engraving for the back of the iPad Pro that I have. It was a project that I planned for the past 3 years. That was when I first bought this iPad, and I finally had the courage to do it. So I'm excited about how it came out. I really love the way that the lines on the art changes based on how you're looking at the backside of the iPad. It's also something that I really enjoyed because I got to come up with the art at the beginning too. So that was very exciting. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like this video, subscribe, and follow me for more.